My name is Rebecca Whitman, and for the longest time, I believed I was living a fairy tale. I was 38, a published author living in a brownstone apartment in Manhattan with my husband Mark, a financial consultant whose voice could melt away my stress in seconds. He had a way of saying my name, soft and slow, like a promise. Every morning started with a kiss on the forehead and coffee just the way I liked it. Every evening ended with him whispering that I was his world. I believed him until one night. It was close to midnight when everything changed. I woke up to an empty bed. At first, I assumed Mark had gone downstairs to grab a snack or check on something. I rolled over, thinking I would drift back to sleep. Then I heard a voice. His voice. It was coming from his home office. Low, serious, calculated. "She still doesn't suspect anything," he said. I froze. I couldn't breathe. The air felt thick, and my heart pounded like a drum in my chest. I sat up, listening harder. "Everything's going as planned." "Almost done," he continued. I tiptoed to the hallway, pressing myself against the wall near his office door. A thin line of light escaped through the crack. I could barely hear the rest, but I didn't need to. I had heard enough. I crept back to bed, lying as still as I could, pretending to sleep when Mark returned minutes later. He slipped into bed with the same practiced calm, pulling the blanket over us like he hadn't just shattered my world. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, my mind racing. I didn't know what he was planning, but I knew one thing for sure. My husband was hiding something, and it involved me. The next morning, I moved through the kitchen like a ghost. Mark was still asleep, his breathing slow and steady. I stood in front of the coffee maker, my hands trembling as I reached for my phone. Until that moment, I had never once checked our finances. Mark always handled everything: bills, savings, investments. I trusted him. I thought that was what a good wife did. But trust, I was learning, could be the first step toward losing everything. I opened the banking app. My breath caught. Transaction after transaction flashed on the screen. $500 here, $1,000 there, $750, $2,000. Dozens of withdrawals over the past 3 months. Nothing enormous on its own, but together they painted a very ugly picture. I gripped the edge of the counter, trying to steady myself. Then came the voice behind me. "Checking the account this early?" Mark's tone was casual, but I caught the flicker of surprise in his eyes as he leaned against the doorway. "Just being curious," I said, forcing a nonchalant tone. "Some of these charges look unfamiliar." He walked over, poured himself a cup of coffee, and gave me a practiced smile. "Oh, those? Just a few small investments. I must have forgotten to mention them." He took a sip without meeting my eyes. Something inside me snapped. It wasn't anger, not yet. It was something colder, sharper. I nodded slowly, pretending to accept his explanation. But I was watching him now, not with love, not with trust, but with clarity. Every shrug, every deflection was another crack in the image I once believed in. That night, I noticed more. He was on his phone constantly, always turning it face down, always stepping out to take calls. When I asked what he was working on, he would smile and say, "Just business. Nothing for you to worry about." But I was worried deeply, and that worry was turning into resolve. 2 days later, I got my chance. It was a quiet evening. Mark had just finished dinner and said he was going to take a shower. Normally, he would carry his phone everywhere like it was an extension of his body. But tonight, for the first time, he left it on the dining table. I stared at it, my heart pounding like a warning bell. I waited 30 seconds, then 60. The water was running upstairs. I reached for the phone. It was unlocked. My fingers trembled as I scrolled through recent messages. Most were harmless, work-related chats. But one thread stood out. No contact name, just a number. The most recent message read, "Send her the Ilium Files. Just make sure she stays in the dark. Almost done." I froze. Read it again. And again. Who was her? Was it me? My stomach turned. Carefully, I placed the phone back exactly where he left it, then splashed cold water on my face in the kitchen, trying to slow my breathing. That night, when he kissed my forehead like always, He didn't know I had seen the message. He still believed I was in the dark. That was his mistake, and I planned to use it. The next morning, as soon as Mark left for work, I called Anna Prescott, my best friend from college and now a brilliant estate attorney. I told her everything, the whispers, the hidden transactions, the Ilium Files. She asked one question. How much money are we talking? Close to 500 million, I whispered. There was silence. Then her voice turned firm. Rebecca, we need to move your assets now. I felt my knees weaken. Are you sure?
Yes.
If you wait, he'll make his next move. We'll create a trust in your name. He won't be able to touch a dime. Over the next 72 hours, Anna and her team worked like machines. We moved the apartment title into the trust, locked down the investments, and secured every asset under my protection. By the time Mark came home with takeout 3 days later, smiling like nothing had changed, everything had. He had no idea I had built a fortress he couldn't break. 4 days later, Mark made his move. He came home early, dressed sharp, smug, and handed me divorce papers. I think it's for the best, he said smoothly. We've grown apart. I slid the folder back. Before we go further, there's something you should know. His brows furrowed. What? I've already moved everything. The apartment, the accounts, the royalties. It's in a protected trust now. You can't touch it. The color drained from his face. You what? You don't get to walk in here, hand me divorce papers, and walk away with half my life. His jaw clenched. You can't do that. I already did. For a long moment, he searched my face for weakness. But I gave him none. He finally muttered, We'll see each other in court. Then go ahead. Try. He stormed out. And for the first time in weeks, I exhaled. But the storm wasn't over. Soon after, rumors spread at my workplace. Anonymous posts online accused me of embezzlement. His handprints were all over it. Then came the lawsuit, Mark, alongside a fraudster named Ilium, accusing me of financial crimes with forged documents. But with Anna by my side and a forensic expert tracing every false claim back to them, the truth surfaced. In court, their lies collapsed. The judge dismissed their case, denied Mark access to my trust, and ordered him to pay my legal fees. When he tried to speak to me after, I looked him in the eye and said, No, Mark. You didn't have to do this. Then I walked away for good. In the weeks that followed, I rebuilt my life.
Slowly.
Quietly. No celebration, just reflection. Because victory doesn't always feel like joy. Sometimes it feels like peace after a storm. I learned something. Trust is a gift. But control over your life is a right. Never hand it over blindly. Protect your future. And if someone ever tries to break you with betrayal, stand. Stand, and let the truth speak louder than revenge. If this story resonates with you, share it. Because strength isn't just surviving the storm. It's learning to own the sky afterward.